хвилюйтесь.
The 12th of June, we are beginning our work at the Ukrainian Media Center. I'm Svetlana Cheparenko. We are discussing today the current situation at the border with Russia and Belarus. We have our guest, Andrii Demchenko, spokesperson for the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine. Welcome, sir. The summer has come. The children are enjoying their holidays. How does that relate to the number of passengers leaving, entering Ukraine? Over the last time, we haven't seen any dramatic changes. However, at the weekend, on Sundays and Saturday, the volume of traffic may reach a level of 100,000. Over the weekdays, we have not that many passengers. Related to the previous months, the data for a month was about 2.8 million persons going to and from Ukraine in May or in April. Now, what we can expect is that in June, the volume of traffic will increase. But at this time, we don't see any differences in people going to or from Ukraine. In the current month, the data will be available when the statistics in general will be available. About 50% of the volume of traffic is accounted for border passes in different places, but the majority of volume of traffic is going to or from Poland. What is the situation with the cargo turnover? Whether the situation is stable? Where are we having the queues? We don't, luckily enough, have any queues, and there is no blockages of the vehicles at the border, as we have recently seen at the Polish border at the crossing point at Brawaruska. What we have recorded then was that at Schengen crossing point, we expected some problems, but we don't see any changes in the vehicles crossing to or from Ukraine. The traffic capacity is stable, including the Polish border. We don't see any queues or lines of vehicles going to Ukraine, what we have been informed by the neighboring countries. And it's worth noting that there are no lines for the vehicles entering Ukraine. As always, we have the electronic line system available for the drivers, so we don't see any surge in registrations in this EQ when thousands of lorries were waiting for the ability to cross the border. But the E-line allows the drivers of automobiles to have information in advance of the venue and time of crossing. The Hungarian arrested Ukrainians that have crossed the border illegally on the truck. Once again, I would like to note that we are continuing to cooperate with our Hungarian colleagues. At that day, through our systems of checking the border digitally, we saw the truck that was crossing. The license plate was also identified, and luckily enough, we know what kind of truck that was. Our response group identified the people that were trying to cross the border, and that vehicle was checked, including the Ukrainians. On our side, we arrested people who were complicit in encouraging and helping and insisting those persons in crossing the border. They are now being checked. Such attempts to break through the border, is that an exception, or this is something we've seen very often? Such an instance perhaps is an exception. Of course, on a daily basis, we check different persons who are trying to cross the border illegally. But sometimes we also detain groups of people. Sometimes they're in large numbers, there are fewer persons. We should understand that those violators in themselves, they're not the free agents. As a rule, they come in contact with some criminal forces, and they are encouraged or promised to grant them the crossing of the border. And what we have seen in this instance, when 32 Ukrainians were trying to cross the border, we've seen such audacious attempts, but our operatives and the Ukrainian law enforcement officers are doing their utmost to expose such schemes and identify those who are complicit. Over the martial law, we have identified more than 80 criminal groups that are focusing their activities on helping people to cross the border illicitly. What is the situation at the border with their aggressor country? Do we see any attempts of breaking through the border? The same question goes for the Belarusian. As for the Belarusian border, the situation is well controlled. What is done over the other side of the border, we don't see any troops that are amassing with a view of breaking through the border. But we must be ready for any development in that section of the border, because Belarus continues to support Russia, and this full-scale war, and this war state is being supported by Belarus. As for the borderline with Russia, in the Kharkiv region, including the Vovchansk and Lipsy settlements, they are trying to delve into the depth of our territory. But I would like to note again and again that what we are recording in all the directions is that Russia doesn't seem to have enough forces to secure their strategic goals. Our defense forces, including the State Border Guard Service, together with other Ukrainian defenders, are continuing to rebuff the attacks and deliver counterattacks to make sure that the aggressor is not able to implement their plans. One should understand that these two directions are very important for Ukraine, and being aware of how pernicious Russian Federation can be in their effort to deliver more stress to the Ukrainian defense forces, including the Kharkiv area. And the same goes for the Sumy region. We are continuing to beef up our defense capabilities to make sure that we oppose the enemy. As for the Sumy region, we have recently seen even the lessening of the intensity of the enemy reconnaissance and subversion groups. We saw a couple of attempts, a few per week. This is not the case now. However, the enemy is shelling the territory of Ukraine daily, including Chernihiv, Sumy regions, and Kharkiv Oblast as well. Once we have identified the goals that are sitting on the other side of the border and are targeting Ukrainian territory, of course, we respond in an adequate way. Thank you, Mr. Demchenko. We have been talking to Andrii Demchenko, spokesman for the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine. At 1300, we will be talking about the Equality March. Stay tuned.